Look, I think JD Vance is kind of a giant asshole. Still would love to get you on the show, JD.
Bill Maher just destroyed JD Vance on live TV. But wait till you hear what his grandma said when he thought he might be gay. Yeah, it gets that wild. Stick around. JD Vance's epic flip-flop on Trump.
And my biggest problem with Trump, I mean, and there are many, many things to pick out, but my biggest problem with Trump is that his message to the right, especially the white working class of which I came from, is anti-conservative and in some ways anti-American. It's fundamentally that.
The first point Bill Maher made was about JD Vance performing multiple polar opposite 180-degree changes regarding his stance on Trump. During his previous political statements, Vance openly criticized Trump by labeling him both an idiot and a cultural heroine to the Republican Party. Fast forward a few years, and now he's Trump's VP pick, practically applying sunscreen to the man's back. The drastic transformation makes werewolves look normal by comparison. Maher said if Vance backpedaled any faster, he could break the space-time continuum. Vance's flip-flop goes beyond a simple shift in political stance. He took the stage microphone to create new lyrics, and then performed a continuous ballad of love and praise toward Trump. The transformation was equivalent to witnessing someone who initially shunned fast food items standing fully immersed in Big Macs. Maher mocked how Vance went from Trump's biggest critic to his most devoted disciple, practically auditioning for the role of vice president of bootlicking. The Hillbilly Elegy Revelation.
But what is in that book is a much more interesting passage where Vance recalls how at age 8 he thought he might be gay. This really resonated with me. Puberty was still a few years off, so I hated girls at 8. They had cooties, and I only wanted to be with boys. Well, that does sound gay.
The main event started right afterwards. Maher started his roast by examining the contents of Hillbilly Elegy, written by JD Vance. People recognize the book as Vance's breakthrough achievement, representing rural Americans facing economic challenges. The book contains an unexpected moment where the young JD Vance expresses concerns about his potential sexual orientation. Maher, being Maher, had a field day with this. At the age of 8, JD approached his grandmother, who had a collection of 19 guns in her home, as though she was preparing for a zombie emergency, and asked, "Mama, do you think I'm gay?" And what did his grandma say?
So the 8-year-old Vance goes to his grandmother, who he calls Mama, and who has 19 fucking guns stashed around the house in case Sherman's army comes back, I guess. If she, a woman born in Kentucky in 1933, thinks he's gay, and she says, JD, do you want to suck dicks?
JD, do you want to suck a whiner? Iconic. Absolutely iconic. We are in 2025, and one of the most common lessons in coming-of-age stories remains that you'll be okay if you never desire the D. You continue to entertain us, America. Maher pushed the joke forward by suggesting rural people who face regional stereotypes are not as selfish as many believe. He conducted a presentation about Southern progress by showcasing Starbucks together with rooftop lounges and gay-friendly biker bars. Yes, you heard that right. In this hilarious illustration, Maher presented the image of firearm-toting conservative men wearing cowboy hats who now drink trendy $18 specialty cocktails and request dairy alternatives. JD Vance's War on Childless Americans.
Can say what it wants about Mexicans, Muslims, journalists, sharks, windmills, low-flow toilets, the FBI, Brittany Griner, and me. But for the love of God, leave childless cat ladies out of it.
And then, Maher presented a full-on attack on Vance's assessment of people who avoid having children.
So, the biggest threat to America now is not a nuclear-armed Iran or $35 trillion in debt or another leaky lab in China. It's cat ladies. Vance says the country is being run by them, makes people more sociopathic and less mentally stable, and the people who are most deranged and most psychotic are people who don't have kids. Have you met your running mate?
According to JD Vance, an America without children is a national disaster, and people who do not have children are both sociopathic and mentally unstable. The biggest crisis in America depends on people living their lives without procreating excessively. Maher stripped Vance's claims of nothing by demonstrating that the problem stems from Vance's attempts to determine how people should live.
The VP candidate who has now reopened the question at the very foundation of the Republican Party. Bitch, why ain't you pregnant?
Maher drew parallels by showing the absurdity of Republican demands for school prayer. You support school prayer? He asked. Say one. Through comedy, he dismantled the false notion that procreation serves as a moral accomplishment by mocking parents who boast about their children by saying, "Condoms broke. Ouch." That comment must have hurt. JD Vance's strange obsession with masculinity.
Why don't we just resist our worst impulses? And next time we're tempted to be hateful and just want the other side to die, stop, and think about JD Vance's cocksucker-loving grandma.
Additionally, Maher criticized Vance for his odd fixation on displaying masculinity. His talk about toughness is more like a contest to appear like Chuck Norris, yet everyone recognizes that real toughness stems from more than loud Twitter liberal complaints. Maher poked fun at Vance's definition of manhood by suggesting that his need to reclaim previous anti-Trump sentiments conspicuously represents his distorted concept of masculinity rather than displaying actual strength. Vance fully committed to this macho persona by presenting himself as the ultimate authentic male figure in modern America. Actual toughness exists beyond theater and encompasses genuine moral integrity. A person with integrity would not shift their stance so dramatically from attacking someone publicly to declaring unquestionable support. Maher drew attention to the contradiction where a person preaching strength showed weak political integrity like a bowl of limp pasta. Vance's ridiculous voting proposal.
In 2021, JD Vance said, and I quote, "Let's give votes to all children in this country. When you go to the polls as a parent, you should have more power than people who don't have kids." No, your life choices are not more valid or worthy than mine.
Then came the decisive blow that sent the coffin into its final descent. Maher highlighted the suggestion made by Vance for parents to receive additional voting rights according to the number of children they have. Consider that notion for precisely 1 second. Each child born to a parent would result in additional voting power for the parent. Maher responded with a knockout response by stating, "I think people who don't smoke weed are missing out, but Woody Harrelson should not receive double votes."
He's got 5 kids and he's out of his fucking mind. And again, it's 2024 and you're still saying that people who don't marry and raise kids are inferior weirdos? Thanks, Phyllis Schlafly. Let me check my beeper to see if 1993 called.
Maher didn't stop there. He emphasized the ridiculousness of believing that people automatically become more responsible or politically aware just because they have children. Some of history's worst choices emerged from people who had children. The fact that Hitler kept a dog did not transform him into an advocate for animal rights. People who have mastered biological reproduction should not automatically receive additional authority to govern the country. If voting power were determined by responsibility level, then educators, nurses, and emergency personnel should possess greater voting rights. They serve as protectors of humanity because their goal is to save lives, while others merely aim to stop toddlers from eating harmful substances. According to Maher, we should give voting power to those who abstain from using the signature line "sent from my iPad" in their emails. The bigger picture? America is changing.
But that's the thing. America is a funny, mixed-up place now. Belle Fourche, South Dakota, has a biker bar that's LGBT-friendly. And nearby Rapid City has a rooftop sky bar that sells $18 cocktails, just like the assholes in LA do.
By this stage, Maher was using Vance as a target for political criticism. The man received more than just criticism because viewers stripped him apart in a public dissection that happened piece by piece. The pivotal revelation is that Maher's entire rant extended beyond comedy ridicule. He made a bigger point. The Republican Party, which purports to protect traditional values, fully accepts Trump, who represents about as much tradition as a wild bachelor celebration in Vegas. According to Maher, the irony lies in the fact that conservative critics accused liberals of altering America, yet gave their full support to Trump, who frequently changes his opinions. The true transformation in America has nothing to do with liberal versus conservative politics. but instead centers around which camp will make the biggest concessions to maintain control. America is changing. Our modern perception of distinctions between red and blue areas and rural and urban territories shows more flexibility than we usually acknowledge. Kansas showed support for abortion rights, which surprised Maher. He pointed out that small conservative towns demonstrate progressive attitudes beyond expectations. JD Vance and his acquaintances continue their cultural battle. What purpose does it serve? These issues are as obsolete as a MySpace password. So, what did we learn today? 1. JD Vance's political evolution is more dramatic than a telenovela. 2. You don't need kids to be a functioning human being. And 3. If you're going to try and be the voice of real America, maybe don't be a complete hypocrite who changes his entire personality every time a new opportunity arises. In the meantime, let's all take a moment to appreciate Bill Maher for giving us yet another comedic beatdown that should go into the political Hall of Fame. And hey, JD, if you're watching, stop thinking about childless people and focus on your own 5-star flip-flopping career. Until next time, folks, stay sane, stay sarcastic, and if your grandma asks if you want to suck, you know what? Just know she still loves you either way. If you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, and drop a comment. See you next time.